Hello, it's Kerry again. This video we've been asked to talk about symptoms. Um, it's a difficult one to talk about really because there are so many and they can be so varied and so different according to kind of what's going on and whether I'm stressed or the support I'm getting or what I'm doing or yeah, it's kind of a bit strange. But basically, I mean, before I was on um, the medication, the effects were a lot worse than they are now. So for me, medication has definitely curbed it or taken the edge off it. It got me to a point where I'm kind of rational enough to know that I'm in PMDD and that it will end. But it doesn't really change how I feel. It just means that I can see a way out. Whereas before, it was just I didn't know why I was feeling like it. I thought it was like all the PMDD lying voices, like about people that you're close to, and do I really want to be in this relationship, and do I really want to do this job, and I wish this and I wish that. All of those, I would believe them and it would really upset me. But now I know that it's PMDD, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it is hard to deal with. But yeah, basically, I suppose the symptoms start about 7 to 10 days ish before my period. I mean, sometimes I can have like, I don't know, like 5 days before, and I'm still fairly symptom free, and then I'll have a really intense few days where it's just full of symptoms. So it really does vary, and that's what's so frustrating about it, is that you try to plan for it and you try to make sure that you haven't got things planned on certain days, and I'm self-employed and I work weekly. I budget weekly, so I try to make sure that I'm not kind of going to need to earn lots of money on the weeks where I know I'm not going to be well. Which is kind of difficult because it means that the weeks that I am well or normal, I have to work twice as hard, which then makes me really tired for when my PMDD comes back. So it's kind of an ongoing cycle. But yeah, so symptoms start roughly 7 to 10 days before. Generally starts with just feeling a bit more irritable, down, tired, critical of myself, critical of the way I look, feeling overweight, feeling like I'm unattractive, needing reassurance on my appearance and that I'm not making people in my life unhappy and that I'm not a burden and that goes on, that gradually, all these symptoms gradually get more intense as it leads up to my period. And as the feelings get more intense, I start feeling quite alone, quite down and depressed. I have bouts of uncontrollable crying, just a hopeless feeling of what is the point in all of this? What is the point in getting up and going and doing this? What is the point in life? That kind of horrible, demotivated feeling. And then I have nights where I find it really hard to sleep, and then nights where I fall asleep and I just can't wake up the next day. I'm so tired and so mentally drained and exhausted that I can't physically bring myself round in the morning. I'll wake up with my alarm and I can feel sleep pulling me back in, and I know that I just can't pull myself out of it. And even then, I can sleep for 14 hours, say, of a night time, get up, whenever I can get up, and then go downstairs, sort my dogs out, make sure they're okay, look at what I've got to do for the day, and then sometimes I can fall asleep another 2 or 3 hours in the day and then want to go to bed by sort of 9, 10 o'clock in the evening. So I genuinely just feel, especially for sort of 4 days before my period, usually just feel completely drained and exhausted and like I can't function. I can't get some days it's even so bad. It has been so bad that I can't even bring myself to get off the sofa to even to like shower and stuff like that. It's just the so demotivated, so the no energy at all. That's the worst thing about it for me because I'm quite an active kind of, I do lots of things. I'm self-employed, so I run my own business. I work in a pub. I do volunteer work at a local youth mental health project. Um, all sorts. I have, friends and boyfriend, and I like doing things, and I'm in a drama group. But in that time, in the time before my period and sort of 2 days in, I don't feel like doing anything. I don't take pleasure in doing anything. It's just, I don't know, it's just nothing. And then I guess, what else is there? There's all sorts. I mean, it's so irritable, like with my boyfriend. I mean, luckily he's good. I mean, we've been together for 3 months and he's great. He's so good. He tries so hard to understand. I mean, I know we've only been together sort of 3 or 4 months, but so far he's the most understanding person, and he will sort of talk with me intelligently about why I'm feeling the way I do and remind me that that it's this time, and he'll always try and do things to help me. But I've never had that before. In the past, I've just got irritable, and partners have just pushed my buttons and made it worse. And they pushed. I don't want to say they pushed me because it's not. It's obviously it's not strictly their fault because it is. I do have PMDD. I didn't know that at the time. But I would get to a point where if there was any kind of extra stress on me, like a big argument or problems in a relationship or extra stress at work, it would push me to the point of being hysterical, rage, completely unmanageable, panic attacks, screaming and crying, throwing things, being physically lashing out with my hands. And I just thought for ages that I was just, some sort of horrendous aggressive person that shouldn't be in a relationship and was a liability to people. Some of the worst symptoms for me to deal with are because I suffered with disordered eating when I was younger. No specific eating disorder. It was like going between many. So I would like binge and purge and then starve and then do too much exercise, then do this, then do that. So I was always moving between all of them. And during the PMDD time, sometimes the compulsive food cravings are just too hard to bear. It's literally, I have to eat something either sweet or carbohydrate or salty, and it has to happen, or I don't even know what the or is because I've never got to that point. I've always had to find something. And yeah, that can be really tough for me because obviously I put on weight, and with water retention I put on weight anyway. I've just lost like over 2 stone from a hormone problem that I had with a cyst last year. That made me put on a lot of weight when I had an operation. So yeah, that's a scary thing because I feel like I'm out of control. And that's another thing with PMDD is that I feel a lack of control. Like everything is overwhelming me. Like I can't cope. Like I can't cope with my budgeting, with my work. I like it's all too much for me to bear. And I'm usually a very strong person, so it's so tough to deal with. But I mean, there are loads of symptoms, and I experience them differently all the time. Like this month, I didn't really have compulsive food cravings beforehand, but now I'm 2 days after my period, and I've just had a day where I've compulsively had to eat. Well, just an evening where I've compulsively had to eat, which doesn't happen to me. And I've not lost the gained weight from PMDD yet, and I would usually do that during my period, and it's 2 days after. So there's no rhyme or reason to it. Sometimes you think I can't even think of a reason why that would be, because the hormones do what they do to make a period happen, and yet different things happen. So it's so confusing. I don't know if I'll ever get a grip on it, but I'm going to start again with really recording daily symptoms, times it happens, what's happening, just so I can get a really good view of it, and I know what's going to happen, and it can help me feel like I'm in control, because the feeling out of control is the worst thing for me. But yeah, anyway, I will stop rabbiting on, and yeah, that was my second video basically about symptoms. Thank you.